93Q Community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
Since 1984, the Christian Assistance Network, CAN, has been a powerful reminder of what happens when churches come together to serve their community. What began with 7 churches has grown to over 28, all united with one mission: helping people in Yuba Sutter with compassion and care. At CAN, we keep things simple, but effective. When someone is in need, they come to us. Our volunteers, they listen, they assess, and connect with them with all the right resources they need. Whether that's food, diapers, clothing, or financial help paid directly to landlords and their providers, every dollar, every donation goes exactly where it's needed most. Guided by our board of directors and fueled by the awesome volunteers, CAN makes sure no family has to walk alone, especially during the holidays. We provide Thanksgiving baskets and turkeys so families can gather around a nice warm meal.
We can't do it without you.
Your generosity makes this possible.
Every gift, big or small, helps us reach more neighbors in need. And together, we can make a difference.
Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93Q community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
California's Yuba River starts high on the western slope of the Sierra. A composite of the Slate, Indian, Canyon, and Snake. Fed by tiny nameless creeks, clattering toward it from either side. By glistening springs trickling over its mossy banks.
In Yuba County, water has given and taken everything. Water built the community.
We started with the water, so we're not going to be here without our water.
And threatened to destroy it.
The amount of water that can come down this river at a moment's notice is mind-boggling.
They had floods regularly, 55.
Releasing a terrific quantity of water which spread at freight train speed.
86.
This is scary.
97.
In Yuba County, total devastation.
You're feeling it for the people that possibly could be gone.
This is the story of a small community that stood their ground against incredible odds.
Those kind of stories that we just can't imagine nowadays.
A story of determination, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment. A story told by those who know it best.
We do beat the odds over and over again. It's like just when they count you out, we come back. Yuba is the comeback kid.
If we don't teach our children the history of what there was, they won't appreciate where they're growing up, what people did, how hard it was for them to do it, and the life they can have here. Well, John Sutter was the first European to own land here. In 1838, he became a Mexican citizen, and within 2 years, he had to have 12 settling families, or that land, which is now 7 counties in California, reverted back to the Mexican government. My family was one of those families.
Named for a survivor of the Donner Party, the city of Marysville came to be in an opportune place at an opportune time.
The city of Marysville was founded in 1850 during the gold rush. The people who created the city realized immediately the value of locating at the confluence of the Yuba and Feather Rivers because of the gold activity.
Now, in 1848, when gold was discovered in California, men came here from all over the world to seek it out.
Marysville, because of the gold rush, experienced 50 years worth of growth in 5 years. And Mark Twain once called it the most well-built city in all of California.
Had about 5,000 acres in about 4 weeks. My great-grandfather came in 1851. And this property at that time was owned by a freed slave. In 1852, Marysville was as far as the steamships could come up from San Francisco.
The bridges coming into town, if you could look down, the old piers are still there, the original plaza where the steamships came. And they'd either go up the Yuba or up the Feather, or they'd disembark and the miners would leave from there.
The amount of gold that came out of Yuba County and Nevada County and Placer County in the mid-19th century, if you read about it, that was one of the reasons that the Union was successful in the Civil War, is that the gold that California was producing at that time was a real plus financially to the Union, and that's one of the reasons that California became a state so early in the game.
More gold was taken out of the Yuba River watershed than any river watershed in the entire United States.
But it wasn't long before they picked up all of the easy gold, and they began to be faced with the fantastic engineering problems of getting gold out of the secret places where it had lain for millions of years. If water had placed the gold in those riverbeds to begin with, why not use water to blast it loose again?
Hydraulic mining powered the gold rush economy, but was incredibly damaging to the river. Entire hillsides were washed away, sending millions of tons of silt and debris down the Yuba, threatening farmers' livelihoods, raising flood risk, even starting a local civil war.
The issue here really became farmers versus miners.
My great-grandpappy, and he came out here, brought his wife. And he planted an orchard, and he was going to make a great success and have a dozen kids. And then you see this river of sand, of sludge coming. Imagine a young orchard getting buried with the silt from hydraulic mining, They literally raised the ceiling floor of where he lived 20 to 30 feet.
River traffic became impossible. San Francisco Bay turned brown the year round. And on the farms outside of the river towns, hundreds of acres of fruit orchards were strangled.
When the hydraulic mining was going on, people in Marysville were quite happy with it. In fact, they were making what they called the monitors, the giant nozzles and the canvas hoses that they used in the operation. And the mayor of Marysville would point to the muddy Yuba River, saying, that activity, that's our economy. And it wasn't until 1875, the flood of 1875, that they joined with the farmers in Sutter County against the hydraulic miners.
In 1884, a court ruling by Judge Lorenzo Sawyer banned hydraulic mining in California, the first environmental ruling in U.S. history. The people of Marysville, who once celebrated hydraulic mining, partied in the streets.
The war was over. The mines must close. And the people of the valley went to bed in peace.
after the gold rush, our gold here is our agriculture. So the flumes that were used for the gold, they became our irrigation canals to grow the agriculture in this area.
Even as Marysville became a hub of farming and commerce, locals lived under the long shadow of Mother Nature, under the constant threat of flooding.
So the largest flood here has been the super flood of 1862 that actually flooded Sacramento. The governor had to row his boat to his inauguration, and they moved the capital of Sacramento for a while because of the flooding. So the community found out early, again, that they had to make a decision about whether they were going to stay here and what they were going to do in order to stay here, or whether they're going to have to abandon the place. And we're here. So we know what the decisions were.
After the mining debris filled in the rivers, it was a constant fight to be able to keep the water out of Marysville.
The levees were largely mined out of the channel itself or from whatever was available at the time. In this region, there are silts and sands that are very permeable. And so what happens when we have water against them for an extended period of time, they become saturated and they start to melt away, just like if you're heating up a cube of butter.
Those levees were tested time and time again. Dams were built upstream to hold back mining debris. It wasn't enough to hold back the full force of Mother Nature on Christmas 1955.
It's just the biggest storm we'd had since 1909 in December of 55.
Shortly after midnight on the morning of the 24th, December 1955, the Feather River broke its levee at Gumtree, 2 1/2 miles south of Yuba City.
In a matter of minutes, a wall of water 5 feet high rolled across the frightened city, crushing homes and business buildings like matchwood, or moving them completely off their foundations. It was one of the worst flood disasters in the history of the United States.
I think we had possibly a half hour's notice.
Where was your husband at this time?
Well, he had been...
The Red Cross was there, the Salvation Army, the Boy Scouts, the National Guard, the Public Health Service, and many others.
Marysville's levees held, barely. The break happened on the Feather River in Yuba City near midnight. 38 people died.
You know, I can still stand on the front porch of my house, and I was 10 years old, and I heard a roar. I can still hear that roar. I can just think about that roar and houses floating by our house. I can still see that. I can still hear it. Never wanted to happen again.
As a senior in high school, we didn't understand the gravity of it, but a week later we were over in Yuba City mucking the houses out. You know, wearing hip boots and, muck 6 inches deep and a big shovel and pushing outdoors. Houses were knocked off their foundation. I mean, it was just devastating.
Certainly a Christmas that will never be forgotten by the unfortunate residents of Yuba City and Lower Sutter County.
Not too far up from where we're sitting right now was the 1950 flood, and that broke through the rock piles, through the community of Hamilton and on out to the south districts where these guys are from, and did, millions of dollars worth of damage. So our supervisors at that time, when the 55 flood came along, could say, hey, we need some type of flood control.
It wasn't just flood protection on people's minds. South of the Yuba River, farmers were pumping so much groundwater that wells were going dry. The hope was creating the Yuba County Water Agency would solve both problems.
So the agency was formed in 1959, and I always tell people, the agency and I were formed in the same year. It's a great year.
In a community rich in history but short on money, Yuba Water took on California's largest public works project ever led by a public agency.
They were remembering the flood, and they felt it was their duty and mission to do something about it.
And if you look at what was happening on the Feather River, the state was building Orville Dam. On the American River, the feds were building Folsom Dam. And nothing was happening on the Yuba River.
The community organized around the idea of, we're going to build a dam. If they're not going to build it, we'll build it.
It is the most incredible local government story ever to me. We can't wait for the feds anymore. We can't wait for the state. We've got to do it ourselves.
Building New Bullard's Bar, the 5th tallest dam in the country, would have been a huge lift for anyone, let alone one of the poorest counties in the state. The idea sparked fierce debate at the Capitol.
And the reality was the state really didn't want a small county to build it. You know, they were building all these projects, and this was a big project, and there was no way a small county could do it, but, you know, we'll give you the authority, we'll give you the special district.
Oh, I would say it was definitely a miracle that got done. From what I understand, it was debated on the assembly floor longer than any public works project up to that point in California.
And it probably wouldn't have happened other than, you know, the first Brown governor, because he was big into water supply, and the whole state water project was being formed at the time, and so there was, you know, a governor that was pro-water projects.
Well, I think it speaks to the boldness of the time. My father, because he was Attorney General, had water cases and got very interested and committed. So he pushed the water plan, and finally they got it done. Obviously he signed the water development program for Yuba County.
Well, we're going to harvest this one. These are early girl tomatoes, and they're really the ones that I found work best in this climate. So, you know, the agency was created, but then how do you accomplish this water supply and flood protection? And that was done through the Yuba River Development Project, and there's a lot of stories about that.
Construction continued around the clock for 3 years. They blasted and bored through solid rock to build New Bullard's Bar Dam and Reservoir. They carved a tunnel through the hillside, building a penstock to carry water to New Colgate Powerhouse to generate electricity, with 2 of the largest Pelton wheel turbines ever built, 18 feet across, weighing 70,000 pounds. Equally impressive were the people of Yuba County, willing to put everything on the line for a project that cost far more than the whole county was worth.
They put out the vote to issue bonds. At the time, it was $185 million worth of bonds. Okay. At that time, it was 2.5 times the total appraised value of all of the property in the county. Okay. And 92% of the voters in Yuba County said, yes, we need to issue those bonds. I think about that and say 2.5 times the total value of all the property today is $12.5 billion. Okay, that's the level of commitment they were making.
The challenges were immense. Not a single contractor bid on the project. So it was redesigned to cut costs. After agonizing financial wrangling and negotiating, a firm called Perini Yuba signed on. But who would pay? Not Yuba Water.
They didn't have any money. They couldn't buy anything.
And so as a result, they had to negotiate and put together agreements where the people that had the money were willing to part with it to develop this project.
You start out by moving dirt, tons of dirt.
A financing partner eventually emerged, Pacific Gas and Electric, PG&E.
I did not know the history. It was like it was buried in the archives. Nobody seemed to care. Even Pacific Gas and Electric Company had long since forgotten where they started. First of all, Colgate Powerhouse today is located on the original site of the original Colgate Powerhouse, which was 1899. And it has an interesting history because three men had a vision of electrifying the north state of California. DeSabla, the engineer, Martin, the salesman, and Romulus Riggs Colgate, the financier, they put this project together. They built the first powerhouse and delivered power 6 months to the day to Sacramento. But their real desire was to get to the Bay Area. They developed a 40,000 volt transmission line, 141 miles long, and carried the power to Oakland. They incorporated into Pacific Gas and Electric Company on January 2nd, 1906. On April 18th, 1906, was a catastrophic San Francisco earthquake. They survived it, they didn't go bankrupt, and from that point on, they became a successful company. The largest private electric utility in the world. And it all started here.
In 1966, work began in a steep canyon 5 miles northeast of the town of Dobbins.
Generations later, in the late 60s, PG&E agreed to finance the Yuba River Development Project. But in return, they would receive all of the hydropower revenue from New Colgate for the next 50 years.
Pacific Gas Electric Company was not in the business for flood protection. They were in the business to make power.
A deal was struck, and at long last, construction began nearly 7 years after the agency was formed.
Don Wilson, my predecessor, would tell stories about how the wheels would fall off the project, and then everybody'd gather together and go put the wheels on again. And just a great story of perseverance.
You move mountains of dirt to chew your way down.
It really was an impossible project. I mean, it was, if you were up at that dam and looked at it, back then and looked in the canyon, you just couldn't imagine it. The old guys that were the surveyors would talk about, and I think, man, they had to be in good shape because they surveyed it with links and chains. So you're walking these incredibly steep canyons. We don't have GPS or a laser. They are walking them with links of chain, measuring everywhere where the water line would be. And all of us who've been around here a long time, my father worked on it, duct work in the sheet. He was a sheet metal worker. My grandfather was an electrician. He worked on the dam. Everybody who was in construction, if you had family, they worked up on Brewers Bar. It was the big project.
This project has come to reality through the vision and the enterprise and the cooperation of many people who will reap its benefits, not only for themselves, but for the people of California. It's this cooperation that's brought Yuba County an invaluable source of hydroelectric power, a storage basin for the floodwaters that have plagued the lower areas for so many years, and a recreational site that can be used and enjoyed by all Californians.
We started out as a department of Yuba County. It was kind of like a closet, like here's a little extra space.
So when I first was elected, I was elected as a county supervisor, and they were giving me a tour of the courthouse where the building where we were housed at the time. And they said, oh, by the way, you also sit on the Yuba County Water Agency, which I had heard of but didn't know much about. They took me down this corridor of a hallway into a room that was literally no more than 10 by 10. And it was Don Wilson and Nancy Jones. And that was the office. And that was my first impression of the Yuba County Water Agency.
Turn. That's better. I worked for Yuba County Water Agency for 29 years. Yes. Anything in the office was paid for through the general fund, and if we needed supplies and stuff like a pen for one person, we went down and bought one pen. We never ever bought a box of pens because we didn't have that kind of funding. Back in the 80s, we probably had somewhere between 12 and 15 people at the plant. There was 2 clerical staff that worked for me, and then I worked and Don Wilson worked. And that was it, and then we had a part-time hydrologist.
Nobody could have predicted or fully prepared for the levee failure in 1986 that changed this small water agency and the course of Yuba County forever.
Muddy water from the Yuba River spread over the towns of Linda and Olivehurst. People scrambled to leave with whatever they could carry. By 10 o'clock, water was flooding the streets on the outskirts of Olivehurst as authorities moved ahead of it, rushing to complete their evacuations.
Evacuate the Olivehurst area. Southbound, Highway 65. Sheriff's Department.
In areas nearest the river, people were reportedly rescued from rooftops. Many lined Highway 70, heading south, bumper to bumper, on one of the few roads left open. No one really knew exactly how high the floodwater would reach.
By daybreak, the full extent of the destruction came into focus. Damage stretched into the hundreds of millions of dollars.
It's kind of scary not knowing if everything you have is, floated away, and we had to leave our dog there, if he's alive. It's scary.
The poor community of Linda really suffered and has never really recovered from the 86 levee failure.
After the 86 flood event, the agency really started looking at how can they as an agency help the entire county. What are the studies that we need to do? And we started lobbying for flood studies and what kind of work do we need to do on the levees.
Well, I started working with Yuba Water in about 1986, 1987. The sole revenues then were a small amount of county tax revenue, and then their water sales, they covered the cost of the water and not much more. The agency looked at, what its assets were and how they could maybe maximize those, and so we talked about water transfers.
Now water transfers are deemed, they're just part of the world. I mean, everybody does it. But back then, there were very few water transfers from the North State, especially ones that were fairly large. As you can now read sometimes, maybe you're selling your soul to the devil. You're moving, water to the south.
There was a lot of distrust between Northern California generally and Southern California. And they want our water, and once they get our water, it's never coming back.
And yet, one of the things I've told people forever, the options up here, guys, there's 2 options. We're either going to move water, or they're going to move to Yuba County. Would you rather have LA here, or would you rather have LA there? So let's figure this out.
Never an agency to shy away from a challenge, Yuba Water spearheaded legislation, fast-tracking water transfers, and guaranteeing that the community making the transfer would never be left high and dry. It passed without a single no vote.
And that, since then, has been really the mechanism by which millions and millions of acre feet have been transferred throughout California.
whenever we get a check in, especially if it was over $1 million, everybody in the office had to hold it for a second. Because, hey, $1 million? Wow.
Those water transfers funded levee studies, so Yuba Water was first in line for state and federal dollars for flood protection. But in 1997, Mother Nature delivered another devastating blow.
Above the spillway at Lake Oroville, hundreds of millions of gallons of water a second crash into the Feather River. But can the already saturated levee system handle all this water?
You know, we were very concerned that we were going to make it through this because we knew how much water was coming down through the system. And, you know, and I've been through enough floods now that you know, okay, you get to a certain point, the levee's going to break somewhere, but you don't know where. Mm-hmm. And it was the next day. I live in Brownsville, so it's about 45 to 50 minutes away. And when I drove in my driveway, the radio said that it broke. It was traumatic for us because we knew people could possibly die. And people did.
My heart goes out to everybody that has lost everything.
I wanted to get in the car and just leave and never come back.
The water level here was above the windows, pretty close to 9 feet deep. I should have known better because, I mean, I went through the 1955 flood. Live and learn.
For those that thought they could come back after 11 years, it was done. Put a fork in it because people were not motivated to live in Yuba County, let alone invest in businesses as well. How you both doing? Good. Good. How about some coffee to start with?
Coffee?
Mm-hmm. We own the local diner here in Olivehurst. It's called Duke's Diner after my dad, and we've been in business for almost 60 years. We moved from Sacramento.
Like we did in 2017. Remember when they were
working in the diner? I have this interaction going 7 days a week with folks.
Hey, great idea.
And it's kind of like the hub, you know, like this little city hall.
I'm still in politics. I just like
talking to a lot of the folks that I went to school with, that I was neighbors with, that said that our parents can't go through another one of these and something has to be done. And it really happened at Duke's Diner, you know, sitting around this table. I guess I drew the short straw on this one, and it was, decided that I would run for the Board of Supervisors. As a county supervisor, you also become a member of the Yuba Water Agency. My first thing was, we have to have flood protection. You know, okay, I don't care if we have a new park, money for a park. What good is it if it's underwater?
1895?
The grassroots effort that began at Duke's Diner helped spark a groundswell of change. In the years following the 97 flood, Yuba Water led efforts with local, state, and federal partners to dramatically strengthen the levees, work that continues in earnest to this day.
You know, it was personal. You know, it was personal, not to be flooded once, but twice in 11 years. It was like, you know, you can't get away with that. And I wasn't just saying that to the state or the federal government. I was saying that to anybody who would listen, is that this poor community deserves better. And I'm going to be a loud voice for them in order to make sure that they have a level of safety that most people take for granted.
Setback levees were built on the Feather and Bear Rivers. Improvements were made to strengthen the Marysville Ring levee around the city of Marysville. After more than $500 million in investment in several decades, Yuba County is now one of the best protected communities at risk of flooding in California.
So at this point, I mean, you're sitting behind levees that probably have more money per capita than any levee system in the United States.
And I think it's loyalty. Loyalty to the community, loyalty to the families that were here before us. I think that's what it was about.
Well, so today was our first day of peach harvest. And they'll get canned and they will end up in somebody's shopping cart, hopefully. So, you know, it was from sun up to sundown. You know, back then it was kind of hard. My dad tells us, you know, the jobs weren't readily available. So they would have to go knock on door to door, try to find a job. They go out there with the headlights on to try to start early, work until they couldn't see anymore. You know, so we would go out in the summertime. So all my friends would be out learning how to swim. I still don't know how to swim. They learned how to swim. We were out picking peaches. We were out picking prunes. It was just trying to survive, trying to make that extra money, and just trying to raise the family. And Dad's goal was trying to put us to college, and so every little bit helped.
From one generation to the next, the roots of Yuba County farming run deep.
For this region, it is very important. We don't have big companies here. We don't have high-tech companies here. You know, so ag is everybody's bread and butter around in this region right here. You know, water is number one. I mean, without water, we have nothing.
That's rang true for more than a century at Daguerre Dam, built in the early 1900s to hold back debris from hydraulic mining. Irrigation districts north of the Yuba River saw opportunity here, building canals to move water to crops. The South County waited much longer.
When they built New Village Bar, they included a diversion that was going to put water in the south portion of Yuba County, south of the Yuba River. The costs of actually building the dam was higher than what they had projected, and they literally had no money left over.
And what it was 15 years later or so, and we started talking seriously, or you guys started talking seriously about, hey, remember the second half of that project? You know, the surface water delivery. Look at this graph. We need to do this.
Some of us got together and decided that it was time for us to see if we couldn't do that ourselves. We built the canal that exists to this day.
The majority of the county now is in rice because that's basically the best use for that land. The rice prices in the 1980s were very poor, and the growers had to put up money to build this system, and it was really difficult. We tend to forget now, maybe, or some of the guys never even knew, but in those days, it was tough.
It was a real struggle for those that were involved in that. But I think the important thing is it was financed by the people who were using it.
It came at a steep cost, but the Wheatland Canal, as it's known, finally brought Yuba River water to South County farmers, reversing decades of declining groundwater levels.
The agency has a graph of the South County that shows before we started pumping out the ground and then after surface water came in. It's pretty dramatic. I'm sure you've seen it, Will.
Yep, many times.
Yeah,
it really tells the story.
Exactly.
And then the unsurprising but great result is just the restoration of that groundwater. The graph turns itself upside down basically and starts back up. And I think by the early 90s, it's kind of back to where it was in 1950.
You know, it's been a godsend. We were running out of water down there. That area had been developed on wells, and the aquifer was going down constantly.
Today, Yuba Water supplies water to 8 irrigation districts, the agency's member units, supporting 60,000 acres of farmland from fruit trees to the king crop around here, rice.
sushi rice, Japanese and Korean restaurants, you're eating medium grain rice. It's most probably anywhere in the United States is from California. It's a huge part of the economy here, and it's also the conservation crop. If it were not for the rice industry in the Pacific Flyway, the Pacific Flyway would collapse. 60% of the nourishment for ducks and geese come off these rice fields in the winter. Well, without the water resource, none of what you see in this camera or what you see in Yuba County would exist.
We are the partners of Yuba Water Agency. Us irrigation districts, 8 districts are in a partnership, and that's how we feel. Because of the fact we do use water out of the project, and that water grows crops to feed people. The agency needs us, and we actually, need the agency.
Even as Yuba Water made huge strides on the flood front, the agency faced one of its greatest challenges ever, one that took 2 decades to solve.
Yeah, the Yuba Accord was extraordinary. That's something you could have done a documentary on. All the ups and downs. It was full of drama, believe me. But it started out in 1988. A complaint was filed by a conservation group.
A complaint filed in the late 80s to the State Water Resources Control Board argued there wasn't enough water coming down the Yuba River for fish. It presented a very real threat to everything the agency had worked so hard to protect.
It was basically a water taking. When the state came in, they were basically going to take our water rights, not temporarily, forever. There were models that we showed that on certain years, all the water would run out to the bay and there would be no water left for anybody.
We heard about this complaint. We heard that the board was, going to have a meeting, and the Department of Fish and Game provided a flow management plan. They would not give us the flow management plan. Don Wilson actually had to go to the Fish and Game office. He had to leave like his driver's license or credit card to get a copy of it, and take that copy to a copy place, get a copy of it, and they went and reviewed it, and they go, oh my goodness, all this hard work we did in building this project to provide reliable water supply is going to be gone if this draft water management plan goes forward.
But fortunately, we weren't ready to quit that easy.
Rather than fight it out in court, Yuba Water decided to seek a settlement. It took countless meetings to find common ground. First, with environmental agencies over how much water fish needed.
They had an Excel spreadsheet that filled up a wall with these little tiny cells of all these stressors by life stage, by species.
Over the course of that 20 years, we proposed that settlement to 6 different directors of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. 6 different directors.
We had already met and ironed out the deal with the NGOs and the governmental agencies and the water contractors. Now we get to go home and work with our irrigation district and thought, well, this should be the easy part, right? No, and I'll never forget out of one of the meetings, it was so discouraging after we met with them because they really didn't understand the program. And I'll never forget Paul Barkowitz said, they don't understand it and we can't explain it.
They don't get it and we can't explain it to them. There were challenges in all aspects of the agreement, and then we had engaged with them with a hydrologist like Steve Grinnell to figure out, okay, how do we make this work from a project operations standpoint?
As an engineer, I kind of have a bit of a personal motto. There's always a solution. So we just lay out the information for them. And farmers are great. You try to take something from them, and they'll stand at their fence line with a shotgun at you. But if you show them a way to get something done to move forward, they're fantastic partners.
What Yuba did is they took basically lemons and made some lemonade out of it. And that's the best way to put it. Just trust me, get in the car in the dark, and we're going to go for a ride, right? And we're going to end up at X. And that's kind of what a little bit of it was.
In the end, 3 agreements were ironed out as part of the Lower Yuba River Accord. More water would flow for fish, Yuba water would be allowed to transfer some of that water south, and Yuba County farmers agreed to pump groundwater in dry years and use surface water in the wet years to replenish the groundwater, safeguarding local water supplies.
It is the solution, the model for solving water problems.
The Accord was the single most important event since building the dam to happen to the Yuba Water Agency.
Rivers freeze and summer ends. See from me she has a coat so warm. Keeps it flowing. There you go.
This agency has the potential to change Yuba County forever. Once the bonds were paid off, there was going to be a revenue stream that could make an impact in this poor county. So it got you to dreaming about what the future would be.
As the sun rose over New Bullard's Bar one April morning in 2016, a future 50 years in the making arrived. Yuba Water was about to take the reins from PG&E.
The agreement with PG&E was wonderful. It's what allowed us to build the dam and build the powerhouses. It was necessary, right?
Yuba had the opportunity to just sign another agreement with PG&E.
They, what I say, jumped off the cliff. Or we're going to do it ourselves.
It proved to be incredibly difficult with the punch list that just went on and on and on.
As Yuba Water formed its own power operation from the ground up, the agency negotiated with PG&E, with someone who would become a very familiar face on the other side of the table.
I have to blame it on my mom's sister, my aunt. She would take me to the races in Grass Valley. I can remember going there when I was like 4 years old, and I always said, I'm going to be a race car driver someday. Well, I'm not a race car driver.
Instead, Willie Whittlesey ended up in the fast-paced world of water, and his career path had its share of twists and turns.
I was at the time managing the contracts between PG&E and all of the irrigation districts and water agencies that PG&E dealt with. And Kurt and Yuba County Water Agency were one of those contracts. So I was managing that. I was on the other side of the table from Kurt Aiken, managing the end of what I didn't even realize at the time was such a historic agreement for Yuba County, right? Not realizing that someday I would be on the other side of the table actually managing those agreements that I was negotiating. Now here I am as the general manager, and it's like, hey, we've got this wonderful resource that was kind of locked up for 50 years.
I was there when the transition happened, right at the time. We were at the Colgate Power Plant, and the board of directors were there and stuff like that. And it was just, it was like 2000, when the year 2000 came in. It's just another tick on the clock, right? It went fine. There was no fear.
From that day forward, power from New Colgate belonged to Yuba Water. The revenue to the people of Yuba County.
I don't know if you can compare it to any other place in California. Where else has a small agency, community, county done something of that magnitude?
That willingness and courage to take a little bit of a chance. The board took a chance with us when we take these, hey, we're adding this staff. We want to spend this many $1 million to make this change. It took a lot of confidence and courage on their parts. There's been courage all the way through the organization.
What kind of pride do you feel?
Oh, a lot. It's been a fight. We made it.
Today, this historic community is poised to write its next chapter. In the gold fields, more dirt was moved here than to build the Panama Canal. Piece by piece, Yuba Water is working to reverse the devastating impacts of hydraulic mining, restoring habitat to support declining fish populations. New Bullard's Bar is still the crown jewel of the agency and also a hidden gem as a recreation destination. While much of California grapples with declining groundwater, here the underground aquifer is in great shape. An area once beset by flooding is now one of the best protected in the state and continuing to work toward a first-of-its-kind milestone, 500-year flood protection, meaning there's a 1 in 500 chance in any given year that a flood could overpower the system. And in the high country, Yuba Water is leading unprecedented efforts to return forests to healthy natural conditions, protecting the watershed and reducing the risk of a devastating wildfire.
We have a county that's as well protected as can be from both flood and fire, and the water agency is working at both ends of the spectrum, from the top of the Sierras to the bottom, of our flood zones.
All the while, Yuba Water is pouring hydropower revenue back into the community, investing in our leaders of tomorrow, investing to breathe new life into an economy that has struggled for far too long. It has taken immeasurable sacrifice and determination over many, many years. But in Yuba County, the future is bright.
My passion is really how can you leave a better place that you've been involved in. And my two brothers play golf and I go to water meetings. It's been very interesting and rewarding, and I'm proud that I was part of it.
There's a real sense of community, and it is that commitment to, no, this is our county. We're going to make it as good as we can.
What I think the most important thing for me is 50 years from now, my great-grandchildren will still want to live here. So that the children of Yuba County say, this is a great place to live, and we're going to stay. And that, to me, is success.
Probably not smart enough to go anywhere else. And here I sit, and I'm dug in, and I think, maybe I'm the dumb guy. All my ancestors, when things got a little crappy, they moved on. And I don't know, maybe it's the Pacific Ocean has stopped us, I don't know, but we're dug in and we're not moving.
It was all about how do we get this done? How do we work together? Willing to take risks.
What more can we do? How do we think big? How do we dream big like the original founders of the agency?
There's just so much potential here in Marysville and in Yuba County. I just want to see us live up to that potential.
connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
All right, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Freebirds Baseball Show here on 93Q Radio. I'm Todd Cunin, doing the weekly show, voice of the Freebirds. If you haven't heard enough of me when you listen to the ball games on the weekly play-by-play, well, you get a little bit more of me here. And joining me in today's show, or on today's show, is Brett Bloomfield, Community Relations Director for the Freebirds.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Brett?
Doing great today. It's a hot one, though.
It is. It's a little warm out there, and you know the team is on the road. They're down in where are they at? They're down in Modesto.
Yep.
And I wonder what the weather's like down there.
When I looked yesterday, it said about 99 to 100.
Yeah.
So not much cooler than here.
And I don't know what the humidity is like down there, but today it just kind of felt a little muggy here today.
Yes, it did.
So the Freebirds on the road. The second half of the season is underway. What are we at? We are 16 games into the second half of the season, and the Freebirds in the first half of the season came in. They finished toward the bottom of the pack, but I really take a look at the last couple of weeks of that season. I think that was Frank Gonzalez just trying to see what horses he had going into to begin the second half. What do you think?
He was definitely trying to find what guys are going to be the steady players. He brought in a few position players that I think are really good in terms of hitting and defensive, and have kind of stabilized the team.
Absolutely.
So far, it just kind of sucks that we're playing the hottest team in the second half, like 9 games the next couple months.
Yeah, that is tough, and what Brett's talking about there, and we kind of got bit by this in the first half of the season too. 40% of our games in the first half of the season were against the best team in the league, the Long Beach Coast. And well, I call it Long Beach Coast. You could call it High Wheelers South, because so many of their ball clubs were on the High Wheelers last year, and so they came and they poached. Brett Wozniak is leading the league in ERA right now down for Long Beach. He used to play played for us last year. Cuba Bess knocking the cover off the ball, and
Still a top player.
Oh yeah, and he was he played here last year. Now, I take. Tried to give credit and shout out. I got to talk to the Knorr family. That was where Cuba Best stayed last year. Stay with the Knorrs up here, and they could have done more to recruit him.
I think them being on vacation for the whole summer definitely damaged that.
That might have done that. Awesome family, and you know, just a great time. That relationship there between them is what you really want to have when you have host families and ball players, because Cuba's like another member of that family.
Yes.
And when they were when the Coast were in town, you saw the Knorrs come out, and you just see that affection there between the families, and it's just awesome.
It's definitely cool. I work a little bit with the host families and set all the players up, and we've had a lot of new host families this year. Some didn't work out just because of drives or because they didn't think they could do it in a short amount of time, hosting some players. But the one stables like Tommy, Susan, Joan, those type of households, I mean, it's a relationship you never lose. I had a couple host families during my summer ball days, and I still text them every holiday, 2, 3, 4 times a year.
Now, where did you play? Give us your baseball background for folks that don't know where you hail from, what you do.
I had a traveling situation in terms of my college career, but I grew up in Davis and went to Davis High School, had a great career there. We won a state championship my senior year, 2014. Elk Grove was the #1 team. There's 4 players that are in the bigs from that team and got to play against. And then I went to University of Oregon my freshman year, redshirted business. I don't know if I was mature enough or ready for that. I mean, it was business, and you had to stare at the coaches. You're late, you got to run, all this stuff. But I ended up coming back and playing at Casumas River College here in Elk Grove, and had another 2 good years there. And then Oklahoma Baptist, a Division II school out in Oklahoma, Shawnee, shout out Shawnee. Played there for 2 years, made the what's it called, the conference tournament. We won it our second year. We were the first Oklahoma team in that whole division for 20 years to win the conference tournament. And then we went to the Division II tournament, first round, 2 years, which was the first time an Oklahoma team had done that, going back to back. And so I was very blessed to be in a winning cultures wherever I went and got to play and perform. And I had a great time being with teammates, and I was a team guy, and I just love being around teammates and hanging out, having fun, putting in the work with them, and eventually, winning some ball games.
Now, what years were you at Oklahoma Baptist?
That was 2017 that spring, and then 2018 that spring.
Okay, because I remember there were a couple of guys that played for the Gold Sox here that went to play for Oklahoma Baptist. I can't remember the names, but I just remember that there were a couple of guys here that went to play for Oklahoma Baptist, and then there was one or two from the Lincoln Potters that went to play. And I just remember seeing Oklahoma Baptist on the opposing roster when they came back. But if I knew names, it'd be a lot. It's a guy who played either batted left or right. You know him?
We had a lot of JC California guys, so I'm not surprised. Most of them were SoCal guys, or they're from Bay Area guys. But they saw me at this all-star showcase thing my second year in JC, and they liked what they saw. I talked way too much on the baseball field. I tried to command the whole field. I mean, I talked in between every pitch, would just be smacking my glove every pitch.
What position did you play?
Shortstop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it made kind of sense, but it was a type of thing where my teammates were like, hey, dude, no caffeine before the game. Let's wait until after the game to throw down some caffeine, dude. Calm down.
I could see that. Absolutely. How did you get hooked up with the Freebirds?
So, my buddy, shout out to the clubhouse down the block, the golfing simulator place. My cousin Tyler owns the place, and along with my other cousin Mason, and our general managers are huge golfers.
Yes.
Huge golfers. I mean, they love going, and so before the season started and they got really busy, they'd be over there and they'd golf every now and then. And my cousin Tyler's like, hey, come meet these guys. There might be a job opportunity. I go down there. I played golf with them 2 or 3 times. They asked me to come to the office and meet everybody, and then call back, and they're like, hey, we have a job opening. You want to come work for the Freebirds? I was like, absolutely. I was like, I would love to be a part of a team again, be around baseball. I just got done pretty much coaching. I was coaching summer ball, travel ball for 4 years, helped out at Davis High School, coaching JV for 2 years for free pretty much. And I was kind of over coaching, and I just was like, oh, well, I wonder what a front office job or being around a organization would be like, and it's been a blast.
Now, I should say, folks, when the other day they had, 2 weeks ago, where they opened it up and had folks go out onto the field and got to take batting practice. And Brett pitched my batting practice session. And look, it's the first time I had swung a bat since I played Sutter Buttes Little League at the age of 11 years old. And he was brushing me off the plate.
Yeah, the hardest part, the scariest part of throwing BP, especially that situation where, it ranged from a 6-year-old kid to, I think, 65 years old Kevin was the oldest guy who hit there that day. And you got to throw it middle in or inside for you guys to get it or pull it or be on time. And I'm no helmets. I'm just sitting there. And then finally Emily came up and goes, we signed waivers. Don't be afraid. I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make me feel any less bad if I hit you guys.
So
that was a fun day.
So back, I feel you on that and that fear. Personal story, back in the late 80s, I was living over in northern Japan. And, you walk around here and you'll see people playing pickup games in parks and stuff, the basketball courts in parks. In Japan, there were pickup games, but every park had a baseball field, and that's what was playing.
Yeah.
And the kids are out there, and you walk by, and it was out in the sticks where they weren't used to seeing Americans out there, and everybody wanted to hit off American pitching because they'd seen the foreign players playing in the Japanese leagues.
Yeah.
And so I got called upon to pitch so many times, and I hadn't played baseball since I was 11. Here I am, 19, 20 years old. And so I kind of lob it in there, and everyone was, no, we want the fastball. Throw the fastball.
And they're serious, too, when they compete.
Oh, yeah, they are. And I'm going to tell you right now, I beaned more 8-year-old kids. Because I'll give you a fastball, but
I don't know where it's going.
There's not going to be much control here.
That's I love Japanese baseball. I've always wanted to take a trip and just be involved in some sort of like league or coaching or being around it. I mean, baseball and soccer are probably like the two most like cultural sports in Japan, where it's serious, it's big crowds, cheers. Like it's an atmosphere that you want to be a part of.
You come out to a baseball game here in the United States, and you can passively watch a baseball game. I know that there are guys that I worked for a law firm for a while that had season tickets to the River Cats, because you could take prospective clients to that. You could talk business. You could do things because of the pace of play.
I hang out.
Yeah,
and you're just going to hang out.
But
Japan,
you go to a baseball game in Japan, and
the closest thing was the A's in the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
They had their drum lines, they had their chants. I mean, every Japanese baseball game that you go to, it is drum lines, it is chants, they have their cheerleaders on their dugout doing chants. It is
awesome.
It is crazy, and everybody is focused. Everybody's watching every pitch, foul ball, anything that happens. They're paying attention. Like it is a different type of baseball event for sure compared to America.
It is absolutely different and an absolute blast to watch. And if you have the opportunity to attend in person, it's an experience you'll take with you for the rest of your life. It's absolutely awesome. But if you want to take great experiences to you can just come out to a Freebirds baseball game. We don't have the chants and stuff, but we got a lot of stuff that goes on between innings in the ball club. And it was Alex Jones is our master of ceremonies, the ringleader, head shenaniganer.
She's too good for us. She's unbelievable with what she does. Her voice, her energy, gets people involved.
You start out with the national anthem. Now, if you have not seen a national anthem or heard a national anthem, you come out here, you're getting NFL quality pregame national anthem listening to her sing, and it just keeps going from there.
Oh yeah, I mean I can't even describe it with words. How like for first game when she showed up to the national anthem, I'm asking everybody up in the press box. I asked Jackson Harrison, "Hey, who is this? How is she here? What's going on right now?" And she shows up all the time. She does national anthem when we need her to, and then she just takes the energy right into the games and the before game speech, and I mean everything, the merchandise spots, the bar spot, the concession spot. Like she brings energy that if it's your first time at the game, you're like, I want to go talk to her. Like, tell me about you.
Yeah. And she is open to have the discussion. So if you want to bring your kids out, for example, we have things that go on all the time on the field. The activities that are going on between just about every inning. Have you seen the fitted sheet race?
That's one of my favorites.
I have never seen that before, and I'm thinking, what a great use. And that's where they sprint, but they have a fitted sheet that's kind of acting as a parachute behind you, and your feet and arms have to stay inside the fitted sheet while you sprint 100 yards from the wall all the way into the
home plate, pretty much.
Home plate. And there she is calling the whole thing.
Yeah, the other good one is fish out of water.
Yes.
You're not allowed to use your hands or feet, and you kind of got to like wiggle or roll to the finish line. That's one of my favorite ones too. And actually, the other week, I think we're going to bring out again is when we had Joe List, the comedian, out at the field.
Yes.
And they did a race along the warning track.
I remember that.
We had our own Olympic runner show up that day and put on a little Frozone suit with the chicken head, and that was really entertaining. I think we're going to bust that out a couple more times.
I think for the fish out of water, you're missing, and we're missing out by not having Bob Fischetti take part in that. I mean, if you're going to say fish out of water, you got to have fish out there as part of that. And you know what? Something tells me he'd be down for participating in that.
Well, I think a good addition to the game would be if you attach like a little rope around him or something like that, and somebody's helping to reel him in to get him on shore, and then there's a big net, and whoever gets there first gets netted.
That'd be awesome. That'd be absolutely awesome. But yeah, you bring your kids out, and
the kid zone is great. Sorry to cut you off.
Out there in left field.
Oh yeah.
That used to be no man's land out there. Nothing was happening out there. Now you got the kid zone, the bounce house, and that's where the kids can go. And then for the grown-ups over on the right side, my favorite area of the ballpark is that new deck they've got there in right field.
Yeah, honestly, it's beautiful. In my opinion, it's the best deal is just get a GA ticket or whatever ticket you want to get, $10 bleacher ticket up in front of us, and you go down there and sit down and watch 3 innings of the game at that little bar stead right on the right field line. I mean, come on, beer, tacos, and watching the game.
Have you tried the street tacos they have down there?
I tried the street tacos, and this isn't a negative, but the concessions manager's daughter brought me up a couple tacos about a month back, and she didn't put anything on them.
So
I just had just meat and tortilla, and it was good, but it was definitely missing the toppings.
So my pre-game meal now is this. I will get 6 street tacos. I get the steak, and all I do is squeeze a lime on them. So just you get that tortilla, the meat, the lime, drinking a Pepsi one that you get the snack bar, and that's all I will eat. And I have to do that as a broadcaster because my meal has to be limited to things that I know won't mess with my stomach for the next 3 hours while I'm calling a baseball game. And I know that that's safe, but it's really good.
Don't let them fool you, folks. I see him walking up with a bunch of ice cream sandwiches before the game, eating them. Don't let them fool you.
Well, no, I only got them pre-game the other day because we didn't have a runner, but that's usually my 4th or 5th inning snack there.
Throw them in the fridge.
So clearly the Ozempic is not working.
No, she didn't bring anything up on them, and so I got to try them, and it was good. And I went down a couple weeks later before the game, and I got a few tacos and put everything on, and they're really good.
Yeah, it's just we don't. See, I wish there was a game because I'm really starting to. It's like 4:18 right now, so we're coming into that hour zone. About an hour from now is when I would normally be eating that.
I definitely feel weird in the afternoons when the team's out of town.
Yeah,
I'm not at the ballpark. I'm not like doing really anything. It's just kind of like office work or at home work, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, well, crap, let me turn the game on and watch the game and kind of enjoy it. But it's definitely way better at the park.
Absolutely,
being there in person watching the games.
And one of the things that I've noticed here at the ballpark, I've never seen this in previous seasons. We've got Mondays off. That's travel day for all the ball clubs. But the size of the crowds that we have on Tuesdays is to me is just amazing, especially if the ball club's been on the road for a week. The Tuesday crowd, it feels like a crowd that, hey, we missed baseball for a week. We couldn't wait to get back here. Our Tuesday crowds have been phenomenal.
I think the $2 beers help with that a little bit, but it's definitely like visible if you're there for a few games of the week that Tuesday we're getting 600 to 800 people into the ballpark, and then the next night, Wednesday, has picked up a little bit, but you get to that Thursday and we're sitting there like, why don't we do Thirsty Thursday and do the $2 beers again or something like that, or half off on beers Thursday, get some more people. But when the team is gone, like even I'd say on Tuesday, this Tuesday coming up, there's going to be a lot of people there in the heat. They like the game. They like to come out and watch. And I think the most fun nights are Tuesdays and Fridays, the $2 beers and the Friday fireworks.
So this Tuesday they're back in town. They're only, so what was it? They played the Ballers for a 3-game set here. This was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then they went on the road down to Modesto, and they're playing in Modesto tonight. They'll be playing in Modesto tomorrow, but then they're back next Tuesday to start a 3-game set against
Oakland or Modesto?
I think they start a 3-game set against Modesto. So it's 6 games against the Roadsters, 3 there, 3 here.
First place team.
And then they have another 3 games against the Oakland Ballers to finish off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But getting back to the team there, we're playing the first place team in the Oakland Ballers. They come into the Modesto Roadsters. Yeah. As of tonight, the Roadsters are 15-1.
We're the only team that's beat them.
That one loss for the Roadsters was against us, but the ball club, the last time they played the Roadsters here, the Roadsters took 2 or 3, and the 2 that we lost were competitive for 7 innings. Who do we have on here? We had Aaron Fowler.
Fowler, that's what you're telling me.
Aaron Fowler is one of the season ticket holders and knows a lot of guys in the ball club. We had him on the broadcast. Great guy, and he said, you know what? Our team is a great 7-inning team that compete with anybody. But then you have an inning or two where just the wheels come off, and then you got to you're either playing catch up because that inning was the first, or your hopes get dashed because that inning was in the 7th or 8th inning. But it made a lot of sense. That was an interesting observation.
It cracks me up because I work up in the press box and do the video board, and so the whole press box crew, we decide on hits or errors and talk to each other about the game, and some of the guys that work up there, they know baseball, but they, hey Brett, I'm a baseball guy, so they go, hey Brett, like why'd the coach do that, or why'd that happen, or this, and we're sitting up there and we're all like, hey, this is a great high school team. They play 7 innings. They win every game this week. I mean, and the joke is high school, but Fowler hitting on the head. We were winning going into the top of the 8th inning every game last week.
Yep.
Every game. And it's just kind of frustrating, and I think that kind of goes into this second half, like the bullpen's trying to figure it out. And we saw some shines of it in Rain. And Rain Pfeiffer. And he came out, and the first 2 outings was solid. Shut it down, looked really good, and we go up 7-6 against Modesto, and right after Diego hit the 2-run home run, had a really good day, threw like 5 guys out or something like that.
That was phenomenal.
I mean, that was the best game I'd see by one of our position players the whole season.
Yeah.
In just terms of defense and offense. And then we go back out there, and I think Drew Aguirre came in and walked a couple guys, and they were good ABs too. 3-2 on the first 2 guys, and ended up walking them on close pitches. And then we bring in Rain to try to keep it close, and just falls apart, and they have a really big inning.
Yeah, and you never know when that bug is going to strike. What's your take? From my standpoint, when I just look at the stats up in the booth calling the games, the free putting them on the base paths for free, walks and hit by pitch just seem to be killing us.
I don't know how often you guys talk about the ABS system, but I really do think that plays a mental factor into the pitchers. And not that there's...
Explain that, what you're... Yeah.
So there's an ABS system at the park, and it's fully on the whole game. It's kind of a new thing that we're trying to get going in the Pioneer League, is thinking about adopting at all the parks that can do it. And so there's no challenges. It's just every pitch is a ball or strike. It's fair for both sides. It eliminates any umpire issues or guys getting thrown out or arguing with the umpire in terms of that. And it really benefits the batters. Like, 9 times out of 10. There might be a pitch that the catcher doesn't frame and they miss their spot and it looks bad and it's touching the zone. But I mean, as a batter, you can just sit there and be patient and wait for a pitch to be in the middle of the zone or over the plate, compared to, well, now I don't know what the umpire's zone is, or I don't know if it's a ball or a strike. Truly don't know if it's a ball or a strike, to where you can just take your best hacks. And I think it really kind of gets into the pitcher's head in terms of, okay, I'm trying to be perfect. I'm trying to spot up and get this. Well, I think when it comes to our bullpen guys, they come in the game and maybe not a lot of them know where the ball is going per se, I would imagine, but it seems like when they get to take the mound, the first couple of batters get walked. And it's because they're either trying to fill out the zone or fill out the ABS system. But it just kind of plays a role in, I think, how like our bullpen has performed this season. Whether it's a home run, double, triple, but it comes back to walks and these free bases late in the game. And as a fan, as a coach, as a baseball player, I'd rather lose, and the cliche saying is, I'd rather lose giving up 4 home runs than walking 3 guys and giving up a grand slam to one batter.
That is exactly the point, and what we've been observing on our side of the booth is, I would rather see the pitcher serve it up and hit the home run, make them earn it, as opposed to walking 1, walking 2, and then the one that you mess up on is really costly because it's a bases clearing double, it's a home run, a grand slam. Wouldn't have been that bad if you just trust the 7 guys behind you.
I was just about to say 9 on 1 is the old saying. We got 9 guys on defense, they got 1 guy hitting. Whether it's runner on first, it's just 1 guy hitting. We don't have a chance if they don't put the ball in play. And I feel like our defense has gotten a lot better. There are some guys who sometimes get rotated into positions that they usually don't play on a day-to-day basis, and it's kind of like we're sitting up in the press box, okay, well, like, he's gonna make one. Like, it's just, there's gonna be a tough play to where he hasn't been doing it for that long this season. It's gonna happen. Chamizo the other night, 2 really tough plays. 1 slow roller, hardest play for a third baseman to make, error. Another ball hit way to his left, second hardest play to make, going to your left, getting your body turned back around, throwing it to first base. And we're sitting up there, it's like, we need him in the lineup. That's where he is. We're not questioning Frank at all because the guy can rake.
Yeah.
And so it's no big deal. But things like that usually happen early on in the game. But I feel like late in the game, it just comes back to our bullpen every night. And that's why I like guys like Egloff. We traded Velasquez away, but almost half the games they pitch, they leave the game with a lead after the 5th or 6th inning, and it's just the lead just immediately disappears. And not to blame all the bullpen or talk too much smack about the bullpen, but sometimes they do walk a couple guys or they get themselves in a jam, and then the bullpen guy comes in and doesn't get them out of the jam. Then there's other times where a bullpen guy comes in, gets out of the jam, pitches great, gives us a clean sheet inning, and then goes back out there the next guy. There's just the word that we like to use up in the press box right now, I don't know if you guys is consistency. Like, can we find some consistency to where the dominoes don't keep falling down when it's starting to go bad?
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like, again, what can we do to get better? And it's not on us. We can't play for them. They got to do it. And the second half, I think they've looked way better. The one Modesto game where they scored 13 runs in the one inning, that's kind of like where I think it was 13 walks in 2 innings, 8 walks in 1 inning. It's like, hey, that's like Little League, man. That's like freshman baseball. Like, we're not supposed to see that at this level. What's going on, guys? And it's just somebody's got to step up and figure it out.
Yeah, at the first part of the season, I saw the opposite. It seemed like our starting pitching was giving things up. But
Correct.
If you could get, and at the time, and I'm going to mention some ball players that aren't with the ball club anymore, but if you could get it to the later innings, to the 5th, 6th inning, you'd bring in Sean Weiss, who's still with the club. Weiss pitched 5 and 6, or 6 and 7. Then get Corbin Barker to pitch the 8th. Tristan Wolf come in, pitch the 9th, and that seemed to be a good recipe. But you had to get there. Starting pitching wasn't getting them there. And then it seemed to flip-flop that now we got, I love Chase Martinez. Martinez, first pitch strike.
Second favorite pitcher of mine.
Yeah, first pitch strike, he got in there. And then Riley Egloff is the other one.
First favorite pitcher for me. I love that guy.
And they both, the thing that they both have in common is they put it in the zone, they trust the defense behind him. And the thing I noticed about Egloff is that when he's pitching in the 90s, that guy's velocity is he can pitch 92, 93, and then have it drop off to 79 with off-speed stuff. It's just got to be murder for a hitter to try to keep track of. But it seemed like when he was pitching with a little bit more control in the mid-80s, he was very effective. When he'd get up in the 90s, that ball was a little straighter. Guys were able to square it up, but just love what I've been seeing with Riley Egloff. But Egloff and Martinez, first pitch strikes, we're getting quality innings out of them. It's just been awesome baseball.
They pitch very similarly, in my opinion. They both have quick tempos. They both, like you said, like to challenge. I think Riley's a little bit more wild. Another big problem that I think isn't a surprise, but we do kind of play in a crackerjack stadium where there's going to be a lot of home runs hit.
Yep.
Like, we probably, not only have we probably given up a lot of home runs in our home park, but we also hit a lot of home runs.
We do.
In our home park. So it's just kind of that battle of, they put it in the zone and it just gets crushed. It's going to happen eventually. Like, it's very difficult to pitch in that park and throw a clean sheet. I don't think we've seen even an opposing team starter, maybe Long Beach the first couple of weeks, but we've only been held, I think, under 3 runs once or twice this whole season at home.
Offensively, Freebirds can keep up with anybody offensively, especially if they're playing their games here. I like, as you put it, I was thinking of it as a launching pad.
Yeah, we sandbox, crackerjack.
Yeah.
I mean, all you gotta do is hit a 300-foot fly ball to right field, and it's out. We saw a line drive hit. What was it? Who
was that? It was the other night. Cooper Hext hit one that was.
I mean, these balls are no more than 30 feet, 20 feet off the ground, and they're going right underneath the scoreboard.
Yeah, there was one that was because that's where you get the cheapy home run there to right field where the scoreboard is kind of cut out, so all you have to do is clear the 8-foot wall, hit the board.
Yeah.
You don't have to clear the 18 to 20-foot wall to get that one. There was one that went out, and I looked over at TrackMan. That ball, I think the max height was 46 feet.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's it's kind of crazy, the park that we play in. I really do enjoy the park. It's like fun. It makes it entertaining for the fans and people that come to the game because you get to see some balls, and it's hot. The ball's going to fly.
You know, the odd thing is that the 2 years that the Drakes played here, it was like a moratorium on home runs. That ball did not fly out of the park. Nobody was hitting anything. And the only thing that I can think with that is you had guys coming in playing that had been sitting for the last 8-9 months. You didn't have these collegiate players that just finished up a season. They've already got their timing down. You didn't have guys coming to the Pioneer League that are just finishing up a college season and signing or playing the entire time. You had guys that were absolutely cold, and it's a 60-game season. And once, like the Pioneer League right now, or the Pecos League, their season just ended.
Yeah, they got to wait till what? May
to get going.
Yeah.
That's just not enough time to get the bats going. But that was the only time I saw a drought in home runs. You'd have the Collegiate Wood Bat League here, college guys playing with wooden bats, and they were putting it out of the park. And it was amazing to watch.
The balls are definitely juiced. I don't know if you gotten like a foul ball or you hold them or anything like that. I know you hit BP that one day, but I mean, if you just watch them take BP, I mean, away team, our team, I mean, like you would think, hey, how come these guys aren't in the big leagues? How are they not getting called up? And I mean, it's impressive, the hitters in this league and what they can do and how far they can hit the ball. I don't know if you know this, but I think I told you one day up in the press box that Dudley on the Red Pocket Mobiles, I think he's second in home runs.
Yeah, Harrison
Dudley. He's second in home runs, I think, this season. He's on pace to have a 30-30 season. Wow. 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. And he hit one 505 feet.
That was our ballpark. It was 110 off the bat.
He almost hit it over across the street where the street light is in center field.
And that was, is he a lefty or righty?
Righty.
That was an opposite field.
It was right over center field. He cleared the old scoreboard, and it must have gone halfway into the intersection.
That's
amazing.
Behind
center field.
Just
amazing. These guys, they crush the ball. Yeah. It's unbelievable to watch. Our guys, I mean, I think, who were we waiting on? Was it Donahue to hit his first home run? And he hit it
Duarte.
It was Duarte.
Josh
That's
Duarte.
right. It was
got
Duarte.
his first last week.
Yeah, Donahue's the lefty, so it's a little bit easier for him. But he got his first one, and he's one of our better hitters. I mean, in my opinion, the two best hitters on the team are him and Chamizo. But Chamizo's done it all year, and Duarte got hurt for what seemed like forever, but I think it was about like a month, maybe like 5 weeks.
I was so happy to see his bat come back to get him back in the lineup.
And he had a slow comeback, but I mean, he's still almost hitting 400. Chamizo was at right about 400, and then he struggled the past couple weeks, but this past week he did okay.
Can you imagine what our lineup would be like this season if we didn't have Chamizo in there anchoring it? I mean, he provides protection throughout the lineup wherever he's hitting, but
the key thing there is when there's somebody on base, he's either moving them up, scoring them, or if there's 2 outs with a runner on first base, he's extending the inning. He refuses to be the last out. He refuses to leave guys on the base paths. I mean, he's probably one of the better pure left-handed hitters just in terms of hitting it all over the field, low and away pitch, hits it into left center, inside pitch, pulls it. He kind of flies off a little bit, which they talk to him about all the time, BP and when they're hitting and stuff like that. Hey, like try to keep your front side closed, don't want the foot roll, stuff like that. Just things that I hear over while they're hitting, and he just continues to impress me personally, because I was left-handed hitter too, just in how he approaches the game as a hitter. And just the clutchness, I mean, like I said before, it's just so impressive.
Watching him hit, I remember Barry Bonds said that, look, a catcher catches the ball, everything. All I did was put the glove at the end of the bat. I'm trying to catch it with the bat. And I saw that Bonds give that interview, and I'm watching Chamizo hit, and it feels like he's got one of those lacrosse things where he's just catching it and then throwing it into wherever, as Bob Fischetti says, throwing it where they ain't.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's just amazing to watch him hit, and he does it day in and day out.
I see Tony Gwynn.
Yes.
I mean, think about how many times Zach Chamizo has swung and missed this year.
Mm-hmm.
it's
pretty
not
rare.
that many.
Yeah.
I mean, if he fouls it off, it's fouling off going over to the third base side.
Yeah.
That's his obvious foul off, or he pulls it foul sometimes. But I mean, he might only have swung and missed under 20 times this whole entire season. Low changeup is the only thing I think I've seen him swing and miss at. He does not miss stuff.
So what about the additions that we have the ball club? Two right off the bat, Zeb Rose and Cooper Hext.
So Cooper Hext had a really slow start, if I'm not mistaken.
He was 0 for his first 2 games.
I think that was him kind of dealing with the fact that he got either released or traded from the team that he was on. And like I like to call it, it's kind of like a jet lag. Like you're coming in, seeing different guys, different team, getting back in the clubhouse. It's very hard to just switch environments and perform very well. But he's turned it on pretty good. I think he also, I don't know if you knew this, but I think he dislocated his shoulder.
Did he really?
Yeah, like first or second game back.
I remember he hurt himself.
It was that collision.
Yes.
And I don't know if you noticed, but when he swung a couple times, you'd see him kind of like grab. So I think what happened was from what the trainer told me, was he dislocated his shoulder and then it popped back in. And I don't know if they told Frank that. I don't know if that was communicated, but guys, he played every game the past week and a half, 2 weeks since we got him. And so I think that also played a part in the hitting the first week or so. But the Zeb Rose, I like to call him a Roos just because it's R-O-S.
I do too. I do too.
Rose is how you pronounce it. I think he's kind of like the spark plug of the team.
His first game here, it
3 for 3, right?
Completely changed the tone of the leadoff spot for our ball club.
Yeah, 3 for 3.
It was
4 for 4. Something
I think it was
like
3
that.
for 3.
He was hitting 1,000 after the first game, and then of course the next night he goes over, and so he ends up hitting 500, which is still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of like a spark plug. I think our outfielder core we finally figured out, and with Cam Uran kind of rounding it out there, and Duarte's been going out there and playing a little bit. I haven't seen Castaneda out in right field too much lately, but I mean, between Castaneda and Cam Uran, I think they've made some of the best defensive plays. And then when they come into the lineup, it seems like they're really hot for that game, or they kind of struggle that day. But I think Zeb Rose, going back to him, he just, like you said, anchors down the beginning of the lineup and is just another left-handed bat that it plays.
Absolutely. And then Cooper Hext the other night, to go back to him, he had that 6 for 6 night.
Yep.
And that pumped his batting average up to 424. And I saw what you saw. It reminded me of Andrew Kirchner when he started with the ball club. Kirchner was 0 for 8 for the first 2 games and then started pouring it on. And it was like, because in his first couple of games, I remember Bob Fischetti and I were sitting there, and I passed him a note in the middle of one of the calls, and it was like, he's not going to stay here very long if this continues. But Frank Gonzalez saw something in him. I think just, look, don't even count the first couple of games, just shaking off the nerves, doing whatever. Jet lag.
They're coming from a whole different situation, or like if we take a look at Max Ortega, who's really hot right now for us and has done good the first 3 games he's caught.
Yep.
They're coming from a different environment. Ortega wasn't even playing baseball. He's fresh out of Fullerton.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And so he just got done playing. But some of these guys, if they weren't playing for another team, maybe they got released a couple weeks ago. But Kirchner and Carlson are another 2 pretty like platoon anchor guys who either Carlson seems to be struggling a little bit at the plate, but we call Kirchner robot.
Do you really?
He reminds me of like Mark Teixeira a little bit.
I see that.
I don't want to call him unathletic, but just the way he carries himself, walks around, just kind of like shoulders hang low a little bit. Then when he goes to get in the box, like really cocky, really confident. And he struggles against left-handed pitchers, but I mean, he just crushes the ball and hits really well. Hit the opposite home run the other night, and he's pretty fun to watch when it comes to at first base in the park.
Well, defensively, they had him playing at first base, but they put him out in right field. So this was the first 2 games he was 0 for each game. His third game, they put him out in right field, and he had 3 throws to third base where the guy was trying to take third.
On the line.
Thought that, there's no way they're going to try to throw me out. And he didn't throw him out, but it was a lot closer than anybody expected. And I remember at least one of them, when the throw comes in, he turned back around and looked out there and said, "You threw on me," and almost threw me out. That guy's got a cannon for an arm.
It's some of these guys, like, we don't know their whole backstory or their tool set until we kind of show it off. And He was one of the guys, him and Uran, I think, just their arms out there in right field. You're just kind of like, where's that been?
Yeah.
How about we have a couple more close plays like that going on around here? Like, I dare you guys to take third.
Yeah. We've got a couple of, there've been a couple of plays that goes out to left field, and the guys come around, and they've been kind of close. And yeah, I'm wondering what it would have been like if Kirshner had been the one that popped up and tried to throw him out at the plate. But you can't spot him out there in the middle of the play. So.
No, and we're talking about defense, and I don't know if the folks at home or the people listening to this, but Devin Dixon's been hurt.
Yes.
The past week or so, he popped his hammy, strained it a little bit.
Is that what happened? He was digging.
It was that first base.
Yeah,
he dug it out,
and it was the hamstring that he popped. I remember when it happened, he had to have help making it back to the dugout.
Yeah, I think it was Castaneda that went out there and helped him, and he thought he heard it pop, but I think that was him hitting the base.
Okay. When
it took place, from what he told me, and it seems like there was just like a little bit of tension, and they thought it was bad at first. And then the next day after that, comes back out, and we saw him taking, I don't know if you saw him, but we saw him taking grounders before the game, Wednesday and Thursday, and he pinch ran in Thursday's game.
Yeah.
And so he's struggling a little bit at the plate, but he was getting hot right before he got hurt. I think he was 3 for 4 that game.
Yep.
With a home run, or 2 for 4 that game with a home run.
I thought I had some of his stuff in our little sheet here pregame, but
I thought I saw it, and I think I missed it when I was going back here.
Here we go. I think I should have numbered him, yeah. But segment 3.
His batting average is back up to 280. His on-base percentage is 373, which anything close to 400 is a good on-base percentage. The 27 walks, I think, just shows that to you. And the fact that he has 34 RBIs when he's usually in the 9-hole, I think says a lot for him.
That's pretty remarkable.
I think that says a lot. I know it's not like an RBI game, or maybe not as high numbers as you think so. Some of these guys have like 50, 60, but he's been hitting in the 9-hole for pretty much every game. But he also is that guy at short who's been playing every single game. I mean, I think the first game he had off was in July.
Yeah.
The whole first month and a half, he played the whole game. And he's got a big league glove. And I think they're kind of missing him in the lineup. And the other player that we got in, Isaac Nunez, picked up the slack big time. But they're very similar players where they have good gloves, they have good arms. Shoot, that backhand play that Isaac Nunez made in the hole the other day, and then I'm sitting there like, oh, we got to get rid of it. Psych, he threw it maybe 90-something over to the first base, and the guy was out by 3 or 4 steps.
Yeah.
And I think they're very similar players, and Devin going down kind of let Isaac set up. He hit a home run in the game that we were losing a lot by, and it kind of was like overshadowed. But then this past week, I think he's done okay hitting. Not to give him too many flowers, but he hit another home run this week, I believe. And he just comes in and gets that one hit or so that kind of sparks when he leads off the inning.
I wanted to get your take on something. Last year, one of the very first interviews that we did, it was a pregame interview, had Brett Wozniak in. And I think Bob Fischetti asked Brett, so what are your goals for the season? And usually when you ask somebody what their goals are, what we had expected, like when we had the Gold Sox here, when we were interviewing Gold Sox players, is we want to get the team in the playoffs, we want to do this. It's very team-oriented goals. The first thing Wozniak said was, my number one goal is to get my contract picked up. Number one goal is to get the contract picked up. And I think about that and you go, I get that with a lot of folks here. But what I'm wondering is that mentality of wanting to get your contract picked up, does that sometimes create a conflict if your coach is telling you, look, I want you to pound the strike zone, I want you to throw strikes, and you're sitting there thinking, well, I know what you want, and that's for the team, but I got to do something here that to try to get strikeouts, to try to fool the hitters, to do whatever. And if that creates a conflict, if what you see, I could be dead wrong on that. I'm just wondering what you see.
I think if you think about it, it's very contrast when you look at pitchers versus batters.
Yeah.
Because the batters, every guy's trying to hit 400, hit a bunch of home runs, steal bases, whatever their type of game is. And again, like I sit up and watch these guys play, and I'm like, dang, like how is Chamizo not picked up? How is Donahue or Duarte not picked up.
Those are the three that I've had that question every game for the last month.
And hey, what do we know? We're just the fans. We're just working here. We watch them every day. And scouts, they just look at the stats, or they come out to some games. But I think when it comes to like goals, I think at the top of every guy's list is just to perform. I think if you talk to somebody like Diego Aragon versus Christian Castaneda, I think that their goals are similar in terms of performance-wise, but I think Diego's the type of guy who's going to be like, I want to have fun. I want to be a good teammate. I want to play around. I think Castaneda, I want to be a good teammate. I want to try to have fun, but he's got a temper, so he gets like mad and kind of takes things personal, if that makes sense, just to have a contrast between the two players. So I think when you ask guys like what their goals are, I think most of these guys aren't really thinking about playoffs or winning the whole thing when you ask them like what's right in front of their face, because they have that getting called up at any second. That trade, that release. Like these guys, especially our team, we've gone through so many players. They're just trying to stay here. And that's, I think, their immediate goal is to perform, not to get the boot.
Do you think that might cause them to be playing tight a little bit when they see some people having been released? Boy, if I'm not performing now.
Like I said, I think if I was a pitcher in this league, I would be, knowing me, I wouldn't be thinking that while I'm pitching or at the same time, but it definitely is a mental game of, hey, I got to prepare, I got to go out here, I got to do my best, and if I don't do my best multiple times in a row, I'm going to get released. Well, you can go 0 for 9 and then go 4 for 8.
Yeah.
And you're, 4 for 17? You're almost at 250. So you're kind of sticking around. But pitchers, you go out there like, again, like we released Corbin Barker.
Yeah.
And he just walked too many guys. He had the best ERA on the team.
Yeah, he did.
But we lost a lot of games that he came in late in the game. And it might not have been his fault, but they either took the lead or he walked a lot of guys. He scored a couple runs, and then that led to another inning of another guy coming in and giving up a couple runs. But he was one of my favorite pitchers. Him, Wolfie, Velasquez, Martinez, and Egloff were my favorite pitchers to watch. And he was on a road trip, and I checked the box score, and he had like 8 walks in 2 or 3 games or something like that. And it's like, well, yeah, your ERA might be good, and they might make a couple errors behind you, but the pitching is, I think, what is more daunting when you ask guys like, hey, like, what are your goals? And I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of the guy who got pulled up like 2 weeks into the season.
Was it?
I'm blanking on his name. It's been so long.
No, not
Barkwood. But he got called up by the Washington Nationals is the point. And
yeah.
And he, in my opinion, he had the same kind of look as Barker did. And just Barker ended up walking a few more guys. And every time he went out there, it just was never clean. It was never pretty. And you look at some of these relief guys, and it's just never clean. It's never pretty. Wolf had it the first month. He was the guy. Came in closed, pitched really well, maybe walked a guy here or there, but closed the game. And now we go on a couple road trips, and you pull up the stats and you look at it, and it's just never clean. There's walks, maybe an error made behind you, a few hits given up, and there's just this, I don't want to call it a disease, but just something that's contagious in the bullpen right now, where it's just never clean or just even good looking when you look at it or watch the game.
You're thinking of Brock Gillis. Brock Gillis got picked up, yeah. And I like to credit my memory, but anybody on video saw me just go to ChatGPT really quick.
That seemed to come up out of nowhere. Like, he had good stuff. He was pretty good. Stats were all good, kind of somewhat good, but I mean, he still had above 3 ERA. 4 ERA.
So it feels to me like, to expand on what you're saying, it feels like if you're a pitcher on the ball club and you're worried about sticking around and you're worried, okay, am I at risk of getting cut by giving up too many hits, giving up too many runs, giving up too many walks? It's that last one is the one they're really focusing on.
I think so. And the other thing is probably being dependable. So like Tristan Wolf was dependable the first month of the season. Very dependable. Nobody else was really dependable but him and Barker.
Yeah.
And then Barker starts to really struggle. And again, lost a few games that are close. He kind of turned into the closer on a road trip. and it's that word dependable. And if you're on a bullpen, even if you're in the major leagues, well, if you're the 8th inning guy and you blow a lot of holds and you can't seem to get out of the inning or keep the inning a clean sheet, well, you're probably not going to be the 8th inning guy much longer, and you're going to be the long reliever, the guy who comes in when you're losing. You might not get sent down, but there's going to be a change. And the problem with us is we don't have that 7th, 8th, 9th, and a lot of teams don't. It's very difficult, I think, to be a pitcher in this league. It's juice balls. The hitters, I think, are really, really exceptional at just hitting. There's not a lot of guys we see with under a 300 average.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it. And the only reason we got rid of position players at the beginning of the year is because they're hitting under 250. That's really the only reason why.
If you're hitting under 250 in a league where the ball's juiced,
they're going to find other guys.
Yeah,
it's just how it is. And Oakland just came into town, and they had a lot of new guys on their team, a couple fresh guys, and that's why I like Cooper Hext, Carlson, Kirshner, Rose, Ortega. I'm a big fan of Ortega, Fullerton guy.
Yep.
He didn't hit too hot in the I forget what league Fullerton went into. I forget if it's still the Big West or not, but he was only hitting like 240 or something like that his last year at Fullerton. But he also just got done seeing high money to draft guys every team that he faced Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night. And I think that kind of shows you that you might have a bad ERA or average your last year of college, but I mean, D1 Fullerton, really good baseball school, and then he comes into the Pioneer League and he's hitting 538 his first 14 ABs that he's had. And whether that's luck, whether that's talent, however you want to look at it, like, it's just the hitters just seem to hit in this league.
There was a kid played for the Gold Sox. Nate Vargas played for the Golds. He played at Whitney High School. He played for the Gold Sox right after his senior season. So he was playing for the Gold Sox before he went away to school. This would have been back, I think, in 2019. Ultimately ended up finishing his college career playing for UC Santa Barbara and got signed by the Paddleheads to play up there. His second at-bat for the Paddleheads, home run. And he's a catcher, and he's playing with Will Bermudez, who's playing up there, who is also a Gold Sox guy here. And it's just great to see those guys, because Bermudez just finished up at UC Irvine and got signed by the Paddleheads. Now, he didn't wait around. He knew he wasn't going to get drafted, so he signed. I think Vargas kind of held off. I feel like a lot of guys held off on signing because they wanted to maintain their eligibility for the draft.
I think that's something that's a little bit above our pay grade of knowing in terms of that, and that's not a diss on you or me or anything like that, but just we have no idea what these guys are thinking, and again, goals. Yeah. Like, do they want to give themselves a shot at being drafted late? Do they want to sign early and then take their chances in independent ball? And it's just kind of like this fine line of, okay, well, you go back to college. I think if you look at college and they're recruiting out of high school, like, are they holding out for a D1 offer? Are they holding out for a D2 offer? Or shoot, am I just going to go NAIA? I have confidence in my ability and just going to play. And I really have a lot of respect in the guys who they take that independent contract. And they're like, well, I might not be that good for low A or high A, but I bet you I can prove in a year or two that I'm good enough.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably wrap this up with the last couple of guys. What's your take on a couple of arms that we picked up recently, Devin Norton, Andrew Ravello?
I think Devin Norton showed that he's got something there. I think he was a little shaky the first time he went out there, but again, jet lagged, kind of afraid to throw it in the zone. And I kind of think when we go into these games, when we're playing Modesto, we're playing Long Beach, like, they're number one. We know they're number one. The pitchers know they can hit, and so they're a little bit shaky. I think Andrew is a big, strong, physical guy. I mean, when I first met him, he looked kind of like a bodybuilder. Like, I was like, you're Andrew? I was like, what was that? I shook my hand, almost broke my hand. And I'm just sitting there wondering what it's going to show up on the mound. And he's low 90s sitting there, and I just think that there's this bug that these guys kind of get when either they get here or they go out there, and they might look good one time. Isaiah Williams gets hit with it. He'll look unbelievable.
Yeah.
Throw 2 innings, no hits, maybe 1 hit, a walk. throws 2 innings, and then he comes in a day later or a couple days later and he walks the first 2 guys, and he doesn't look like himself. And so that's off the field stuff or mental stuff. But when it comes to the new arms, I just think Coach Frank's trying to find consistency in guys who are just going to compete.
I agree.
And the only guys that we seem to have to compete, I think Aguilar does it, and Rain did it really well. They just got unlucky, but I mean, Egloff and Martinez are just pure joy to watch. And I think this second half we have a lot of hitters that are just getting hot and just, I think, finally realizing, fine, if you guys won't do it, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And it didn't show in last night's game when 22-1, unfortunately, but
that was a tough one.
But I think the position players are at a point to where they're like, hey guys, why not? Let's just go have fun and just perform, hit, and score a bunch of runs. And if we lose by a lot, we know that we did our best and we try to give ourselves a good shot.
Now, I still maintain that some of the best TV that you would ever see, if they would just do it, is to put a camera in your side of the booth, because folks, they closed the booth, they cordoned it off, so I'm over on one side of the booth. They closed the door because if they don't, then there's this idle chat. They can't have it bleeding over into the microphone for our call.
Well, we're also not
like
PG either, so we don't want that stuff to leak in there.
And that's why they closed the door. But I wish that they could go ahead and put a GoPro with a camera on your side. It'd be like, what is it, the Manning brothers that
it'd be exactly like the Manning brothers. That's a good way to describe it.
It would be absolutely awesome television to hear the conversations that go on your side of the booth throughout the course of the game, because you're talking guys that have opinions. There's you, there's Shiloh, the PA guy that comes in, and there's Kevin. Kevin has an opinion on anything, and they're always, every time Kevin has an opinion, he'll start to say something. I'm thinking, oh, what do you know about this? And then I'll be dang if that doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, you got me on that one. I mean, it's just
it's a great atmosphere. We do a little bet before every game, not for money or anything like that, but just to keep us interested in the game. The best one so far was we did how many mound visits there'd be in the game, and so anytime the manager looked like he was going up, we'd be screaming up there. I mean, we have fun. If we're losing, we're not very happy up there. You know, we're questioning everything. We're talking about it. We're doing this. We're doing that. But besides that, I mean, we talk about the game. We have fun. We have conversations. Sometimes it distracts me on the video board a little bit from doing my job perfectly. But I mean, the atmosphere up there,
that explains a lot, because I didn't know it was you running the video board, whoever. But the number of times where I've had to say, okay, that'll teach me to listen to the video, to rely on the video board operator.
Yeah, I'll leave foul ball up there for a little bit too long and miss a pitch or something like that, or I'll put the wrong name or the wrong video card going up there. But just between all of us up there, it's good laughs, it's good fun, and we watch the game, we cheer on the team, and again, when it's going bad, we start to question things, just like any fan at home would be when they're watching the TV. And I love being up there because I know a lot about baseball. I know more than the average person, and they always have questions, and I love answering them, and they always go, okay, that makes sense.
What's it like for you? So last week, or the last 3 games, the Oakland Ballers are one of the few teams that actually send their play-by-play guy on the road. So he was sitting in the same. And what was it like having him? Did you listen to what he said?
Yes.
Did you have to tone it down? Did he sound like he know what he was talking about? What was your opinion of that?
Gareth Kwan, I forget if his last name is Kwan, but Gareth is his name. And we had the Missoula guy up there one of the first years. And the Missoula guy was loud, was crazy, was wild. We kind of...
Yeah.
No, not throwing shade on him, but it was just like we kind of all had to be quiet. Mm-hmm. Like we were kind of like tucked away.
He wanted everybody to know he was from ESPN too. So.
Yes, and again, like we're all sharing the same room. Gareth was also loud, also did his job very well, but Gareth was on top of it. He let us know any substitutes that came in. He came in and let us know position changers, who's batting. Will just keep us on top of it. And he was also very nice before the game and talked to us. And we include him in the bets. So we did. Ted, Ted, who sits right in front of us. So the bet the other night was how many times is Ted going to get up today, and one of the best bets of the year. And for you that don't know Ted, he's this very old diehard fan of any team that's here playing at this park.
Comes in from Colusa.
Yes.
For every game.
Every game, and he gets up whenever there's a foul ball that goes behind home plate and goes out over towards the parking lot to check it. He'll get up and kind of walk around side to side. He brings a horn, his Zuvezuela horn. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Scares the snot out
and
of me
then the
every
air
time.
Horn
Yes,
is
the
what
air
gets
horn.
us. So,
Yes.
so you'll love this. So the other night we scored, and I mean 3 pitches must have been thrown after we scored. It was a home run or something like that. And he kind of came walking back to his seat and just grabs the air horn and just, I'm not looking, and just blows it. Scared the ever living out of me. But we played the game where how many times it's taken to get up, and I think he only got up 11 times. And usually in a game he gets up 15 to 20 times, just checking on foul balls and stuff like that. But Gareth being up there, back to Gareth being up there, the guys who come up there and they do the games, it's very cool to hear them because we miss out on a lot of the stuff that you guys are saying. I went back and I watched a couple games, and of course when the whole JT incident happened, I went back and watched the last inning and listened to what you said, and Fish was hilarious when he was calling it out, just treating JT like he was like I told you, like his son was sitting there and he was explaining like how not to act like a little kid, like that's exactly what not to do. And just being up in the press box, like I enjoy it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it next year, just because I probably have to walk around, meet with host families more, and just be more involved in the community members that show up, because they're always like, where are you? And I try to run down there when the game's over. I give knuckles to all the players when they walk by when the game's over. I try to say hi to all those families that stay late and say hi to everybody. But there's nothing like a press box environment, and I know you and Fish have that same.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
It's unbelievable.
I do wish I could. I do wish I could hear and be more part of what's going on over there, but wearing a lot of hats. So you got to keep on top. At the end of the day, because we run a radio side.
Yeah.
So you got the traditional. Somebody has asked me, how come you're so descriptive? We're watching video. We can see a lot of this. What they got to know is that we are running a radio side, so I got to take into consideration the people that aren't watching it. I have to call for them, and so it gets to be a little bit. I'll have some people text me, how come, this is earlier on in my career, how come you don't, what's the score, who's on where, we don't know anything that's going on. Well, it's my job to let you know. So. Well, Brett, thanks for joining us here on the show. I told you we're going to look up there and you're going to think, holy Toledo.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yes.
Who do you think the MVP is of the team?
MVP of the team. First name that came to mind as soon as you said it, Zach Chamizo.
Okay.
That's the first that came to my mind.
I would agree with you on that. He'd probably be mine, but it's between him and Duarte. So if you're looking at if you miss games or if you're hurt for a little while, if that goes into it. But Duarte, I mean,
he was hitting 420 for the longest time, and we weren't even. Yeah. Anyway, so he was hitting just lights out at the plate, and the only reason why I gave the nod to Chamizo was because when Duarte went out, Chamizo had to continue to carry the team, and he did it.
Just gonna cut in here. It seems like Zach is a favorite because Keith Burwell in the comments a little bit ago was saying that he is also his favorite.
Nice,
fun to watch.
Thank you, Keith, for joining us there and for letting us know. I think we have a good consensus here. Zach Chamizo is absolutely awesome to watch play. So thank you, Brett, for joining us here on the show. That'll do it for us here today. We do this show every Saturday that the Freebirds are on the road. We'd love to have you on the show again, and we have a couple of those Saturdays coming up in August where we can have you on the show. We're going to try to get Alex out here so that she can tell folks how the kids can get a hold of her and participate in the activities in between innings. So for Bob Fischetti, who's not here, for Mason Cunin, our board extraordinaire, and for Brett, I'm Todd Cunin. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you out at the ballpark. We'll come back out on Tuesday for the series that starts against the Roadsters Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. See you later, everybody.
Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us. There really is no other media group in the downtown Yuba Sutter grids that support and are active and are enthusiastic, and we can bring our message to more directly than any other source that's around.
We see the value. I really feel like this is a foundation for our community to build on and to thrive and to create that connection that we need.
They have the pulse of our community, from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important. But secondly, they report on things that are going on in our community.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
And I know that one of their goals is increasing their signal power and their reach, especially up in our foothill region. So the more support we can give them, the broader reach they can have.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep into your pocket and give to 93Q.
It's our turn to support 93Q. They're a nonprofit, so in order to keep growing, they need our support.
We need to support them the way that they support us, and so I would ask that if you can, please give during this time.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important.
Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
We continue to follow breaking news right now out of Yuba County.
The Yuba Water Agency says a pipe burst at the Colgate Powerhouse on the Yuba River.
The work to rebuild the Colgate penstock is underway, but there's a long road ahead for Yuba Water Agency.
It's absolutely difficult for me to look at it. The momentum of this agency at the time was great. We were doing great things, and to have something unanticipated like this come up has been devastating, frankly.
What happened that day was unexpected and unprecedented.
So it was an average Friday afternoon. We'd had 4.5 months of maintenance work going on in the tunnel and the penstock, and on Friday, February 13th, we were filling the penstock in the tunnel. We were near completion of the filling, and the penstock ruptured.
A catastrophic scene after a major pipeline burst in Yuba County.
That initial force must have been incredible.
In an instant, a maintenance project that was nearly complete became one of the biggest challenges in Yuba Water's history.
It was frantic and it was chaotic for the first few hours afterwards, ensuring that everyone was accounted for, developing a plan to remediate the oil spill downstream in Englebright Reservoir. Once we knew everyone was going to be okay, then you get a different feeling of devastation of all the work ahead of us, all the analysis, all the remediation, the financial impact it would have on this agency.
The effects of the rupture reach far beyond the repair site. With the penstock out of service, once the reservoir drops below the main spill gates, Yuba Water can only move about 1/3 as much water downstream as it normally would, which could have impacts throughout the state. That water supports local agriculture and native fish in the Yuba River, as well as Central Valley farming and communities throughout the Bay Area and Southern California. The outage has also sidelined the new Colgate Powerhouse, a facility capable of generating enough electricity for up to 350,000 homes and providing critical power when demand on the grid surges. And with that generation offline, one of Yuba Water's primary sources of revenue has been interrupted.
this conveyance system of the agency's revenue. And we'll be without that during the period of reconstruction.
That revenue helps fund flood protection projects, water supply investments, environmental and educational programs, and grants that benefit the local community. Until the system is restored, those resources will be limited. Technical experts are examining every part of the system to better understand the extent of the damage and develop a plan for rebuilding. At the same time, an independent forensics team is investigating what caused the incident in the first place. Both of these efforts will help inform the overall schedule and cost to rebuild. Fixing the penstock is about much more than just rebuilding a damaged facility. It's about restoring the water deliveries, clean energy generation, and community investments that depend on it. But Yuba Water is determined to get there.
The response from the public, the response from our partners in the industry, the response from our board of directors, and primarily our staff just shows to me that we will absolutely get through this.
Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
Imagine bringing the golf course anywhere you want. Introducing Smash Golf, California's premier mobile golf simulator, bringing the green to your scene. Perfect for corporate events, parties, fundraisers, weddings, and golf lovers of all skill levels. Compete with friends and experience pro-level golf simulation without leaving your event. Make your next event unforgettable with Smash Golf. Smash Golf, bringing the green to your scene. Visit smashgolfca.com to book your event today.
Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV. Connecting the Yuba Sutter 93 community with local shows, sports, interviews, and events. You're watching 93Q TV.
93Q Radio was an opportunity for what's called an LPFM to give the community a voice.
The big part of what's happening here is it's us. It's the community of us. There really is no other media group in the downtown Yuba Sutter grids that support and are active and are enthusiastic, and we can bring our message to more directly than any other source that's around.
We see the value. I really feel like this is a foundation for our community to build on and to thrive and to create that connection that we need.
They have the pulse of our community from the nonprofits to the local governments. If you want to find out what's happening in our community, get on board with 93Q.
And 93Q does so much to help our community, helps us promote our local events, as well as local businesses, and tell our story about what we do here in Yuba Sutter.
The folks that work here, they're part of our community, so they understand our needs, and that's important. But secondly, they report on things that are going on in our community.
Local radio is so important during times of emergency. They're there. We lean on them to provide information to our public.
And I know that one of their goals is increasing their signal power and their reach, especially up in our foothill region. So the more support we can give them, the broader reach they can have.
My wife and I are glad to support 93Q. We're going to do it on a monthly basis, but I really recommend that if you want to make your community better, this is a great place to take a first step right here.
So if you can, reach deep in your pocket and give to 93Q.
It's our turn to support 93Q. They're a nonprofit, so in order to keep growing, they need our support.
We need to support them the way that they support us, and so I would ask that if you can, please give during this time.
93Q is a great partner for law enforcement, and they're a great partner for the Yuba Sutter area.
We're really asking people if you can give $10, $15, $20 a month, and then that enables us to continue to put put small business spots on the air, nonprofits, organizations that are they're using every dollar they got just to operate, and they don't have extra money to spend on really promoting their cause. And that is why community radio, to me, I'm grateful to be part of it, and that's why it's important.
Ahoy there, boaters and recreators! Have you heard? Invasive golden mussels are posing a serious threat to our lakes and waterways, and we really need your help. So we've put together a simple song to remind you how you can help prevent the spread of this pesky little hitchhiker. Clean, drain, dry your boat every single time. We don't want invasive mussels clogging up our lines. Clean, drain, dry your boat, don't miss a single spot. Thoroughly, golden mussels must be stopped. Now all it takes is a single drop of standing water for golden mussels to spread. So it's not just boats, but all watercrafts that need to be checked. So, clean, drain, dry your kayak, self-inspect it too. Before and after every water body, that's what you've got to do. This may just be a silly song, but we hope you've heard it all. We must protect our precious lake, we don't have time to stall. Self-inspections are a simple and effective way to help make an impact. So before and after every water body, always remember, clean, drain, dry your boat, you can do it by yourself. Do your part and follow the steps, together we can help. Clean, drain, dry it all, it's what you've got to do. Everybody do your part and keep our waters blue. Clean, drain, dry your boat. Clean, drain, dry your boat. Clean, drain, dry your boat. You've got to clean, drain, and dry your boat.